Greetings, everybody. Welcome back once again. This is Emunah Y'srael. I don't know what the light is good on Facebook. I mean YouTube, but on Facebook. Anyway, shout out to everybody on both platforms. This is Emunah coming back once again. Like I said, I have not forgetting about the heavy research, but we are making our way through this book, and I haven't read it in a while, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know about you. If you are enjoying it, leave your comment at the video below or under the video. We are on. I'm reading it from the Kindle, so it is available on Kindle. We are reading Island Love. We're up to chapter 4. So the first 3 chapters were introducing you to the main characters. You had the very funny episode of them going to and being introduced to Basil Thompson, who is the lawyer with Esquire, who Mr. Carton, who has now deceased, hired to basically look over his estate for the period of time. So essentially, Devon, who became the surrogate grandchild for Angel, welcome to the discussion. Devon, who became the surrogate grandchild, basically the adopted grandchild of Mr. Carlton, who came to the States and didn't have any family. Devon was doing it out of the purity of his heart, right? And so Mr. Carlton took to him and decided to, shower welcome, to leave him his estate essentially. And it has some contingencies, it has some conditions. And one of those is that they have to live in the house for 10 years. They're getting what do they call it? Yearly disbursement of monies, but they're not getting anything else. So he kind of wants them to value what it is that he's giving them. So they get the monies to pay the taxes and everything and upkeep the house. And then they have to learn from scratch how to build it up. There's some principles in there. So now we're at the point where, Tanita, welcome. We're at the point where they left the office, and the guy from the office he's kind of sketchy. You know what I mean? Isaac, welcome. The lawyer guy is kind of sketchy, and so is his assistant, so is his secretary. So now we're going to jump into chapter 4. Again, I'm reading from Island Love. Antonia, welcome. I'm reading from Island Love, which is a novella that I wrote. I think I wrote it back in 2017. I released it back in 2017. And I kind of wanted it to be a 4-part. So this is the first part that's actually published. Okay, so chapter 4. I just had to catch everybody up on a little drama. Sometimes you need to, you know what I'm saying, take a moment and have some clean entertainment. You know what I mean? All right. So chapter 4. Mornings. Let's see. Oh, wait. And then Isaac, I'm gonna put you in timeout, Isaac, if you don't be of yourself this morning, Isaac. And essentially, chapter 3 gave us a little bit of introduction to Jackie and her upbringing, and the fact that she's first generation Carib-American, and the fact that her family, and a lot of Carib-Americans can relate, that the family just wholesale brought all the cultures and everything to the Americas. But now you're living in this foreign place with all of the old traditions of the place where you came from, which makes it kind of difficult to adjust, right? So that's a little bit about Jackie. Chapter 4. Mornings. Let's see. Oh, yes. Grogginess, agitation, all things not good or chipper-like. My eyes blink repeatedly in an effort to remove the tiny yellow crust that formed in the corners of my eyes overnight. Drool saturated my pillow, as always, when the sleep was so sweet that I couldn't seem to control my mouth water. It didn't help that my bunk bed was positioned against the radiator, which ran from the floor to the ceiling in the girls' room that I once shared with my sisters. Whenever it was wintertime, I would awaken drenched in sweat. No matter how many times we complained, the landlord only provided 2 temperatures, freezing cold or hell hot. Dad chose the latter, and we adjusted to it. These days, I had the girls' room all to myself ever since my oldest sister, Lena, recently went on to college, and the oldest, Tamar, got married. The jury is still out on whether or not she's happily married or not. It was a school day, but by now I had hit the snooze button about 3 times already. I could hear my brother's footsteps nearing my room. He had the most irritating habit of busting in first, then banging on the already breached door. Get up, Jackie, or else, he threatened. Or else what? I challenged back. I can't stand when he does that. Everyone knows that I am not exactly a peppy morning person. Why must he be so loud? I was going to answer him in a not so nice manner, And just as I gathered enough walking strength to tell him a thing or two, I heard my father calling, Jackie, my princess, you up? Yes, Dada. As you can't tell, she's a daddy's girl. I answered without a hint of grogginess. Tidy up yourself and come here. I have something I need you to do for me later, he called from the kitchen. Hearing Dada's voice, I sprang into action. His morning decree caused me to lose all remembrance of sleep, and I hurriedly got tidied up and got ready for school. I found my father seated at the kitchen table drinking hot cinnamon tea as usual and reading the morning paper. Mama was preparing breakfast. Morning, Dada. Morning, Mama, chirp. Morning, Jackie, they responded in unison. Hurry and have some tea and breakfast, said Mama. You are late and your brothers are getting ready to leave you. I was already halfway through my senior year of high school, and my twin older brothers were in their second year of college. Since it wasn't out of the way, they gave me a ride to school in the morning. But if I was late, they would threaten to leave me. On days that they had made good on it, on days that they made good on it, I would have to walk the 7 blocks to school by myself. Unlike a lot of classmates, I really enjoyed school. I just couldn't figure out why it had to start so early. School gave me a chance to get out of the house and see children my own age. I packed a bit to eat, bid my parents goodbye, and grabbed an extra sweater on my way out the door. I rushed up the block to meet my brothers who were sitting in the car as it warmed up. The music streamed from the cracked window. I rolled my eyes while reaching to open the door. As much as I love reggae, it was too early for the bass line to stir and vibrate every cell in my body. Turn it down, please, I yelled, beating the back of Jazz's passenger seat. He didn't even bother to turn back. He just waved me off and started to bop his head even more. It was futile. I sunk in the back seat and endured the noise until I got to school. Susie, what's going on? Story time. Reading from Island Love, an urban coming-of-age novella written by yours truly, Emunah Y'srael. When we pulled up, they both made sure to warn me to stay away from them dirty boy at my school, or they would tell Mama and Daddy about me. I waved them off, but not before they hurled one last insult to remind me I was still their little sister. Jazz rolled down his window and yelled mockingly, "Have a good day, Maga Jackie." I could hear him and Marcus laughing all the way up until I reached the front door of the school. I'm not sure if I shared this with you before, but as Mama would say, I was a very, very slender girl. Not skinny or mager, but petite. The other girls at school had long developed their womanly physique. And I was a late bloomer. I'd been waiting for Aunt Flo ever since I was in the 6th grade. That year, school sent us home with permission slips that allowed them to show a birds and bees presentation in class. My parents signed it reluctantly and mumbled something about what kind of slackness are they teaching in school. Sorry. I wondered why they called puberty slackness, but I never worked up enough courage to find out. For the next 6 years, my mother was silent on the matter of menstruation, and I watched intently for the day it would arrive. For those who just joined us, again, within the story, I'm making it comical, but there are a lot of cultural things that people from different spaces face, and that doesn't allow for a smooth transition from adolescence to adulthood, because a lot of things are looked at with a negative lens, such as puberty, such as coming of age. It's usually something to curse the individual for. You think you're grown, you smell your arm, you're into slackness, when it's really just the maturity level. And so because oftentimes the parents in the older generation do not know how to relate to the younger generation, there's a cycle, there's a perpetual cycle of brokenness. And so I chose to address it in a kind of way. It's comical, but this stuff is true, y'all. Okay, we're gonna continue. Hold on one second. Let me make sure YouTube is good. Okay, so we're gonna continue. That was chapter 3. So we're on to that was chapter 4. We're on to chapter 5. Having learned my lesson with the whole Souljah situation, if you missed Souljah, you're gonna have to go back and watch the video. I managed to avoid making any official friends at school. I met my good friend Tanya when I was 16, but that didn't mean I didn't have plenty of acquaintances. I was pretty well known because of my athleticism and participation in practically every school sport, and many of the boys seemed more intrigued with me than the girls. They thought I was strange. Most of their parents allowed them to date, but I was the homebody. They called me their homegirl. I was cool and didn't pressure them for any real relationship. I grew up with many of my classmates since elementary. Devon was one of them. He had a crush on me since the sixth grade. But back then, I couldn't get beyond his round belly, tight pants, and nerdy looking glasses. Devon was overly sensitive to the prospect of me liking or being liked by anyone except him. And he would often sabotage my potential in school love interest. So, okay, I'm going to continue. Trevor was Devon's cousin who moved from the Caribbean to live with his family earlier this year. So she's senior year in high school. He attended our school and caused quite a stir amongst the girls. I remember one morning my father asking me to stop at the cleaners to pick up his suit. Now, Devon's house was on the way from school to the cleaners. I must have passed his place hundreds of times over the years, but something felt different now that Trevor lived there. I found myself anticipating a chance meeting where I would accidentally bump into him while running errands. Trevor was cute. No, I take that back. He was fine. And even had a, wait, hold on. She said Trevor was fine. Hold on. Yeah, he even had a smooth mustache and a deep voice with a sexy Caribbean accent. Sorry. Puberty had been very kind to him. No pimples on his ebony skin. I admired him from a distance. Since the first day he came to Valley High, he was finally acclimating to life in America, but nothing could fully prepare him for his first winter here. I developed a crush on him at first sight. At lunchtime, I would wait in the cafeteria to see where he and Devon were sitting. Then Tanya and I would sit close enough to hear their conversations, but far enough not to appear thirsty and obvious. Trevor and I had biology class together, but I don't even think that he noticed. However, my interest in Trevor did not go unnoticed by Devon, who grew jealous and competitive over my attention. While running my father's errands that day, I finally did see Trevor and Devon sitting outside of their front stoop. My eyes fell instantly on Trevor. Suddenly, everything seemed to be moving in slow motion. We weren't in school, and this was the first time I had encountered Trevor in real life. I approached them with an even pace, trying to walk cute, Should I wave, keep walking, or casually stop and say hello? I wasn't sure how or if I should make myself known to him until there she is, Devon shouted. Wait, I gotta do it louder. There she is, Devon shouted while pointing in my direction. She is the one that has a big old crush on you, Trevor. Wait, what? Huh? And just like that, I was exposed. Devon, I couldn't believe him. My stomach teemed with butterflies. I was frozen in humiliation, disoriented and fuming. I made a mental note and plotted to give Devon a piece of my mind later. But for now, I needed to get out of there. Eventually, I mustered up enough courage to lift my head up and look in Devon's direction again. And when I did, he was staring menacingly back at me. Fimi and theme I make four, an old time people would say. My stomach leapt, cramped, churned, and bubbled, calling my attention away from our staring contest. I felt a strange warm sensation and an undeniable urge wash over me. I had to go. I ran without a word all the way home. I arrived home in record timing, immediately flung open the front door, threw a word of greeting over my shoulder, and sprinted towards the bathroom. When I got there, I was relieved and shocked. It came, finally, and late, but it was here. That was the day that I was officially inducted into womanhood. I was excited and afraid. I had long forgotten what the video advised, so I frantically called for my mother. Mama, I need you. My mother came to the door in a hurry. What happened? She exclaimed. It's here. I showed her. I had sullied myself with almost the same sense of accomplishment. The silence was deafening. Mama stood there and just stared as if I had injured myself. She left the bathroom without a word and returned shortly with a small package of sanitary napkins. Use this, she said, and don't tell anybody. Your business. I was bewildered. What was that about? I had older sisters, but they never told me much about menstruation either. They took care of their time of month discreetly and without much complaint. I wondered why the secrecy about it. A secret from whom and why, I wondered. I tried not to think too much about the reasons because to me, this was great. It meant I would finally grow some boobs and get a little shape to my body. Welcome to womanhood, Jackie Brown. So I said I was going to read 4 and 5, but that was short. So I'm going to read one more, chapter 6. The next few months were difficult as I did my best to avoid Devon and Trevor as much as possible for the rest of senior year. Don't get it twisted. I still had a huge crush on Trevor, but I struggled with how to get past Devon's watchful eye. I even changed my route going home, taking the long way just to avoid seeing the cousins together. My parents started to suspect something was wrong because I was always late getting home. Graduation came and went without repeat of the red running incident. Jackie, please come here, Princess Dada called. He wanted me to go on another errand to the cleaners. I was so apprehensive that I even protested a little, which I rarely ever did, especially when it came to my father. I need you to pick up and take something to the cleaners, Jackie, and I don't want you coming in late either, said Dada. I fumbled, searching for an excuse, but failed. Okay, Dada, I reluctantly agreed. I was freaking out at the idea of having to pass Devon's house, but my father had made it clear that I should go and come back quickly. On my way to get dressed, I heard Mama calling me from her room. Yes, Mama. I pushed the door to her room and found her sitting on her favorite spot, bent over her beloved antique sweet sewing machine, listening to the news on WFM, on the radio, sorry. She motioned with her hand for me to come closer. Mama rose from her chair and made her way over to her fabric station, which was brimming with vibrant colors and beautiful prints. She stepped up on her stool with difficulty, even stumbling a bit, reaching for the material she needed. Mama, are you all right? I called out to her, watching to make sure she had regained her balance. She never answered or looked at me. I watched as she stood on her tippy toes, determined to reach for the fabric at the top of the pile. Once she had the fabric in hand, she hastily attempted to get down, missing a step and nearly stumbling onto the floor. She reached out to steady herself. I reached out just in time to prevent her from getting seriously hurt. During the commotion, Mama grabbed my shoulder tightly with her free hand and dug her fingers in with enough force to make me think she might have dislocated it. In the midst of her flailing, she kicked my shin, sending my own foot sliding back until my baby toe smacked hard against the iron leg of the sewing machine. Talk about pain. I wanted to yell and cry all at once, but instead, I settled for a whimper. That hurt. Hush, baby. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Mama's eyebrows arched in surprise. She was embarrassed about the fall and wanted to quickly return to her task and forget about it. So Caribbean. Like, how you gonna step on a whole toe and pretend like you ain't just run the child over? I'm sorry. My mother was kind of short. Okay, no, my mother was really short, but she was feisty and formidable. Come here, baby, she said as if nothing had happened. Look at the fabric your father bought for you. Isn't it beautiful? I limped over to get a better look at the fabric, not quite able to forget about the stool incident with my still throbbing toe as a reminder. I managed to mumble, yes, Mama, it's pretty. Ahmad, if you're being rude and disrespectful, Ahmad, please see your way out. If you want to explain, then you can share. If you want to be rude, then you can see your way out. So we keep it clean and respectable around here. So this needs to be plugged in. Oopsie. Hold on, let me plug this in. Okay, the computer was going now. Where am I? I limped over to get a better look at the fabric, not quite able to forget about the stool incident with my still throbbing toe as a reminder. I managed to mumble, yes, Mama, it's pretty. Good, I'm going to make you a new dress, Mama said decidedly. I nodded my head in acknowledgement and forced a smile for my mother's sake. Hold on there. Oopsie. Are you ready to go to the cleaners for your father? Now, Mama asked, huh? They still wanted me to go after getting my toe smashed with nothing but a hush to soothe my pain. I dared not to express my discontent with what I thought was a very unreasonable request. Instead, I limped out of her room into mine and got ready to leave. It was the summertime. Valley High was behind me. I looked forward to starting City College in the fall. I kind of missed school, but I really missed my crush, Trevor. Weeks had passed since graduation, and I wondered if or when I would see him again. Things had been quiet. Devon seemed to disappear with senior year, which was great, but I hadn't seen Trevor either. Just thinking about him still made me nervous and excited. While in my room, I attempted to soothe my toe by rubbing the pain out. I hopped over to the closet and picked out one of my favorite dresses, the Sunflower Delight, to wear on my errand. I wrapped my hair in a gold-colored scarf. Look, I happen to have a gold-colored scarf. And put on my favorite pair of gold hoop earrings. I might as well look good just in case, right? On my way out of the room, my reflection caught my eye. I doubled back to take a look in the full-length mirror near my door. Yep, I'm fly. Jackie, Dada called again. Come take this money and my suit to the cleaners. Okay, Dada. As I made my way towards him, the phone rang. Answer the phone, Mama ordered her from the room. Good afternoon, Brown residents, I answered. Hey, who is this? Tamar, Lena, Jazz, Marcus? I could not help but roll my eyes as the caller ran down a list of my siblings in an attempt to identify. No, I responded. This is Jackie. May I ask who's calling? You don't recognize my voice, the caller replied. You could almost hear her pouting. I was tempted to give the caller a bit of feistiness, or some would call it sass, but I decided against it and concluded that she was likely an adult that knew my parents. May I ask who you would like to speak with? I asked politely. Jackie, oh, it's you. Sorry. Jackie, oh, it's you. How you sound like big girl. So, well, this is your auntie Dolores from country. Who is Auntie Dolores from country? I was puzzled without a single clue who I was speaking to. My family left the island some years ago when I was still young. I knew that it was customary to sometimes call friends of the family uncle or auntie as a sign of respect. Could she be one of those? Then again, she could be one of a number of women my Uncle Ricky kept around. They were always introduced to us as Auntie so-and-so instead of terms more accurate but less inappropriate for young ears. At any rate, I didn't have time to figure it out, and I gave Auntie Dolores from country the option of speaking to either my mother or my father. She chose to speak to my mother. I handed Mama the phone and made my way to the cleaners. I could feel the heat creeping in from outside. The sunshine burst through the front door. The Mr. Softy ice cream truck chimed in the distance. There were little girls and boys dressed in beach wear making their way towards the fire hydrant across the street. An older boy was walking towards the hydrant with a big wrench, ready to crack it open. I knew I had to move quickly if I didn't want to get wet. I hurriedly made my way down the steps and up the street, still limping a bit because of my bruised toe. No sooner than my foot hit the pavement, I heard the annoying sound of someone yelling my name loudly from behind. Jackie Brown! My heart began to pound as I contemplated running with each beat. There was only one person I knew that said my name like that. I slowly turned around in the direction of the voice, and sure enough, it was Devon. I made a quick and discreet scan to see if he was alone. I wasn't sure if I could actually face Trevor like this after the last time we met, or kind of met. Well, after the Red Run encounter. Where you been, pretty young thing? Tumbled awkwardly off Devon's lips. I wondered if he had hit his head. Devon had gotten some new gear, as we called it then. He wore his hat turned to the side and his shirt unbuttoned several spaces from the collar. I could even see the beginning of some chest hair peeking through behind his gold chain. I'm all right, I responded nervously, not sure where to look. Devon tried to use more of the American slang he picked up, which made me very uncomfortable. I was used to his normal high-pitched voice. Why do you keep looking over your shoulder? You are run from police? He teased, sounding more like himself. No, I have to run an errand for my father. I began walking briskly down the street. Devon followed all the way to my destination. We stopped up the block from the cleaners. I decided to give him a chance to speak his piece. He was quiet while he tried to catch his breath. I had no idea what to say to him until finally I worked up enough nerve to ask, so, where's your cousin? Devon's easygoing demeanor melted away. His nostrils flared and a bead of sweat suddenly gathered on his forehead. Why are you asking about him? He asked, visibly irritated. I began to take slow steps backwards. The change in his voice frightened me a bit. Devon put his hands on his round waist. I'm sorry. Devon put his hands on his round waist and took a deep breath. I watched him intently as he reached into his pocket and took out a large ball of 5-cent peppermint. This is some New York stuff right here, y'all. This is some corner store New York. I'm sorry. What's good? We're here. We're reading from Island Love. This is what did I say? Chapter 6? I think it is chapter 6. And so it's getting heated right now. Devon done rolled up on her. Devon is pissed because she asked him for the cousin. He checking for her since the 6th grade. Now they done graduated high school and she ain't giving Devon no play. The silence between us was broken by the rustling of the candy wrapper. Before I knew it, I had inadvertently backed into the gate. The dry cleaning clutched in my hand, waiting to see what Devon would say next. The gate behind me was much taller than I was. Devon stood in front of me and leaned in closer, placing his palms above my head, flat against it. Now I was even more uncomfortable. What if someone passed by and saw me talking to mine? Like this, a barrage of what ifs flooded my mind, just as the menthol from Devon's breath brought me back to my senses. Jackie, you know how long I like you, and I want you to be my wife. Say what? Be your who? Have you lost your mind? I didn't say what I was thinking, but I didn't make any effort to hide it on my face either. Your wife? I repeated. I'm not allowed to have boyfriends, much less a husband. And who says it would be you anyway? She's saying it in her head, right? Boy, I never thought I would see the day that I would be grateful for one of my parents' many rules. Come on, Jackie. I see the way you look at my cousin. Don't mind him. I am the one for you. Devon said, once again reminding me how closely he was monitoring my crush on Trevor and how much it animated his competitive side. Make me and you get married one day, he suggested. Surprised and fluttered, I quickly changed the subject. What time is it, Devon? 3:15, he answered after consulting the watch on his wrist. 3:15, I echoed, scooting across the gate until I was no longer tented under him, and I shouted over my shoulder, I have to go, I can't be late. I took off running, or more like hobbling quickly up the block, relieved to be free of Devon's penetrating stare. By the time I returned home, dinner was cooking and my parents were sitting. Hold on, I'm thirsty, sorry. Are y'all enjoying the story thus far? Hope you're enjoying it. Sorry, you gotta stay tuned to the end because it gets crazy. By the time I returned home, dinner was cooking and my parents were sitting together watching the 5 o'clock news. I never understood what the big deal was about the news. They never reported anything good. I found it depressing, so I didn't join them. Usually I'd spend this time in my room doing my artwork or writing poetry. School was out, so there weren't any sports to go to, which meant I was back to being under lock and key. Can we say no social life? I was going crazy from wanting to talk to anyone about my crush on Trevor and how his delusional cousin Devon really thinks I would have ever be his future wife. But my feelings of excitement ebbed into loneliness as I remembered that Tanya, the only real friend I had confided in, went overseas for the summer right after graduation. I really missed having long conversations with her about everything and anything and nothing at all. Summer was going to be hard without her. Since I had nowhere else to put my feelings, I decided to write them down. I wrote a note for Trevor and another one to Devon just to get my true feelings out there. I wrote the letters and rewrote them a dozen times in my head before letting the pen touch the paper. Dear Trevor. No. How about greeting Trevor boo? No. Hey, Trevor, I hope this letter finds you in good health. Wait, I sound like a school nurse. I twirled my pen, threading between my fingers repeatedly, then tapped its tip against the page when I was finally satisfied with how to begin. Hey, I wanted to take the time to say I really have a crush on you. Let me know if you like me too. Write me back and let me know. Yours truly, Jackie. Hey was the perfect opening, short, sweet, and to the point, just like my note. I wanted to finally get beyond feeling so awkward around him. But at the same time, not say too much, and end up embarrassing myself. Now it was time for Mr. Mint Breath. I still could not believe his nerve. First, Devon embarrassed me in front of Trevor by calling me out, and then he suddenly got all brave and forward, even pinning me against the gate to declare his love and stake his claim on me. Ugh. I closed my eyes and tried to shake off the disgusting image. It was best to keep things simple with Devon as well. What's a nice way to say fly a kite? Hey, I wanted to say that although you are a nice guy and all, I don't get that vibe from you. Maybe there's another girl out there for you. I hope you find her. Sincerely, Jackie. Satisfied with my notes, I reached for the two envelopes in front of me. One was addressed to Devon and the other to Trevor. Just as I was about to stuff the letters in, I heard my mother call, dinner time. Mama, I panicked. I fumbled with the papers as a thin layer of sweat covered my body. The last thing I wanted was for my mother to come in and find me writing letters to man, as she called any male, no matter how old or young they were. This moment reminds me about Dean. He's the reason that I almost had a coronary when I heard my mother approaching. Dean was a boy who had a school crush on me in junior high. He wrote me a note asking if I liked him with two check boxes, one for yes and one for no. Talk about simple. But I was so embarrassed, I didn't know what to do. So I stuffed his letter into my pocket of my school uniform. Well, was that ever a mistake? By the end of school day, Dean's letter was forgotten and stayed forgotten until the fateful day, laundry day. It was raining, I remember, because my socks were soaked and muddy from the puddles I stepped in on my way home. I came in and my mother was standing in the kitchen near the door with her arms folded, tapping her toe and scowling. Good afternoon, Mama. How are you? I asked, not sure what to make of her standing there glaring at me. Good afternoon, no? She hissed. I knew something was up then because somehow her greeting sounded like fighting words. I stayed quiet, trying to gauge what the issue was. The silence was deafening, but I dared not to speak first. So I dismiss your guys' school fam? She asked. I knew that the way I answered this question could potentially denote whatever threatened to explode behind my mother's gaze. It was particularly difficult to respond when she was this fired up, so I humbly said, school? Yes, school. Did I send you to school to look man? She raged. Now I was at a loss for words. I had no idea what she was talking about. I think the blank stare on my face enraged her more. I don't know why, though. Maybe she thought I was trying to be slick or something. It had already been a couple of days, and I genuinely forgot about the note that trouble-making Dean had given me. Mama was growing impatient, and it became clear to her that she was getting nowhere with me. Finally, she shook out the wrinkled paper she had mangled in her grasp and slammed it on the table. My eyes burned as I squinted, identifying what it was. The note had new creases, but I recognized the handwriting. It was the note from Dean. Mama wasn't alone. I wanted to beat myself for making such a careless mistake. Is what is? Mama demanded. I wanted to pounce on that paper and tear it into a million pieces, but it was too late. The nasty mangy cat was already out the bag. A note? I replied. Some point my class gave me that. There was nothing left to do but be honest. However, my confession seems to dig an even deeper hole. Boy, in a class? Mama, I'm sorry, y'all. Ah, there's some truth in this book, y'all. There's some truth in it. I had to pull from my experiences, y'all. There's some truth. There's some truth in this book. That's all I'm gonna say. Whee! I found it comical. I'm glad y'all enjoy yourself. Mama's habit of repeating everything 10 times louder than you originally said it had set in. Miss saying you guys school, look, man. Your father and I work hard to make sure you get a good education, and instead of study your book, you look, man. Mama emphasized her words through wild gesticulations and projectile spitting when she was really upset. It wasn't intentional, but all of her children were aware that when Mama got mad for whatever the reason, see, Susie says so true. It's just funny. Just be prepared to be showered. I was banished to my room without being able to tell the full story. At this point, I did not protest. What was a 13-year-old to do? I remember how Mama scandalized me over that note. When Dada came home, she embellished what happened, adding extras to make it appear worse than it was. In her retelling of the story, I had become a junior high school dropout with belly. Not to mention that everyone who called on the phone for the next week had to hear about Jackie and Man and the note. Because they like scandaling you, y'all. Needless to say, I don't play with leaving personal thoughts around my house anymore. Jackie, dinner, I'm calling you. I could hear her first footsteps approaching my bedroom door, which was never allowed to be fully closed unless I was changing. This was another one of our infamous house rules. I became antsy as flashbacks from Dean's scandal hit me. Hurry, Jackie, hurry. I grabbed the letters, stuffed each one quickly into the envelope I prepared. I scanned my room urgently for a place to stash them. Without much time left, I settled for between the pages of dictionary laying on my bed. Look normal, I told myself. Is everybody sitting down? I saw her shadow in the sleeve of her flowered shirt as she pushed the door wide open. I turned over several pages of the thick dictionary, read the first word that caught my eye aloud. Homostasis, I said, feeling intrigued. Interesting word. Jackie, do you hear me calling you? What's he in here doing? Mama asked, then answering her own question. Oh, you're reading. Good, good. Well, take a break and come to dinner. The entire time she stood in the doorway, I held my breath and didn't exhale until I heard her footsteps fade as she headed back to the kitchen. Okay, Mama, I'm just going to wash up. I'll be right there, I said. I shoved the dictionary under my pillow and left the room, not wanting to keep my family waiting. Dinner that night was sweet. My favorite was served lamb chops, garlic mashed potato, and sauteed spinach. Dada and Mama were at the table discussing the latest news as usual. I heard them saying that the adoption was almost complete and that they would soon have to go and sign the final paperwork. I sat quietly at the table. My thoughts were miles away as I obsessed over the letters I had written and tried to figure out how or when I could get them to Devon and Trevor. So I'm going to stop there and we'll pick up again at chapter 7. And we got to find out how Jackie's going to get these notes to Devon and Trevor because now she's locked in the house. She graduated high school. She's waiting to go to college, and she doesn't really have a social life. So she's basically locked in the house. So how's she gonna get out, and what's gonna happen next? So you have to stay tuned. I hope you're enjoying this story, and thank everybody for tuning in. And again, like I said, man, sometimes we just need to write it down. It's a part of the healing process. I find writing therapeutic. So it's part of the healing process, the processing process. And when you look back at some of the things, you can laugh after you healed from them, right? And so that note story is similarly true to a personal occurrence. Wee! With that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is Emunah Y'srael. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm taking a break from the R. Kelly stuff, y'all. I'm taking a break from the R. Kelly stuff. But I have my notes. I'm just listening to different variations of the witnesses. So I needed to take a chill. And this is funny. So, all right. Talk to you guys soon. Oopsie. You're welcome.